was clear on being involved in an operational, having an operational participation in a violent jihad. Of course, his defense attorneys are going to work to challenge that and suggest that what FBI officials were doing was grooming him to participate in this plot.
Grooming him to participate in this plot. That was my compilation of clips detailing the Portland tree bomber patsy. And again, all those are linked up in the main story, all those videos and all the other articles. It's all laid out for you. But we're going to continue on this other side of the compilation of clips and take it from Glenn Greenwald. The FBI successfully thwarts its own terrorist plot. The FBI is obviously quite pleased with itself over its arrest of a 19-year-old Somali-American, Mohammed Osman Mohammed, who, with months of encouragement, support, and money from the FBI's own undercover agents, allegedly attempted to detonate a bomb at a crowded Christmas event in Portland, Oregon. Media accounts almost uniformly trumpeting the event exactly as the FBI described it. Loyalists of both parties doing the same, with Democratic Party commentators proclaiming that this proves how great and effective Democrats are at stopping those evil terrorists, while right-wing polemicists point to this arrest as yet more proof that those menacing Muslims sure are violent and dangerous. What's missing from all of these celebrations is one iota of questioning or skepticism. All the information about this episode, all of it, comes exclusively from an FBI affidavit filed in connection with a criminal complaint against Mohammed. As shocking and as upsetting as this may be to some, FBI claims are sometimes one-sided, unreliable, and even untrue, especially when such claims as here are uncorroborated and unexamined. That's why we have what we call trials before assuming guilt or even before believing that we know what happened. Because the government doesn't always tell the complete truth, because they often skew reality, because things often look much different once the accused is permitted to present his own facts and subject the government's claims to scrutiny. The FBI affidavit, as well as whatever its agents are whispering into the ears of reporters, contains only those facts the FBI chose to include, but omits the ones it chose to exclude, and even the facts that are included as merely assertions at this point, and thus may not be facts at all. It may very well be that the FBI successfully, and within legal limits, arrested a dangerous criminal intent on carrying out a serious terrorist plot that would have killed many innocent people, in which case they deserve praise. Court-approved surveillance and use of undercover agents to infiltrate terrorist plots are legitimate tactics when used in accordance with the law. But it may also just be as easily the case that the FBI, as they've done many, many times in the past, found some very young, impressionable, disaffected, hapless, aimless, inept loners, created a plot, it then persuaded, manipulated, and trapped him into joining, essentially turning him into a terrorist, and then patted itself on the back once it arrested him for having thwarted a terrorist plot, which from start to finish was the FBI's own concoction entirely. Having stopped a plot which itself manufactured, the FBI then publicly touts, and in uncritical media amplifies, its success to the world, thus proving that both domestic terrorism from Muslims is a serious threat, and the government's vast surveillance powers, current and future new ones, are necessary. There are numerous claims here that merit further scrutiny and questioning. First, the FBI was monitoring the email communications of this American citizen on U.S. soil for months at least, with what appears to be the flimsiest basis, namely that he was in email communication with someone in northwest Pakistan, an area known to harbor terrorists. Paragraph 5 of the affidavit. Is that enough to obtain court approval to eavesdrop on someone's calls and emails? I'm glad the FBI is only eavesdropping with court approval if that's true, but certainly more should be required for judicial authorization than that. Communicating with someone in northwest Pakistan is hardly reasonable grounds for suspicion. Second, in order not to be found to have entrapped someone into committing a crime, law enforcement agents want to be able to prove that, in the 1992 words of the Supreme Court, the accused was, quote, independently predisposed to commit the crime for which he was arrested, end quote. To prove that, undercover agents are often careful to stress that the accused has multiple choices, and they then induce him into choosing with his own volition to commit the crime. In this case, that was achieved by the undercover FBI agents allegedly advising Mohammed that there were at least 5 ways he could serve the cause of Islam: praying, studying, engineering, raising funds to send overseas, or becoming operational. Muhammad replied he wanted to be operational by using an exploding bomb. But strangely, while all other conversations with Muhammad, which with the FBI summarizes were, according to the affidavit, recorded by numerous recording devices, this conversation, the crucial one for negating Muhammad's entrapment defense, was not. That's because, according to the FBI, the undercover agent, quote, was equipped with audio equipment to record the meeting. However, due to technical problems, the meeting was not recorded, end quote. Paragraph 37. Thus, we only have the FBI's word and only its version for what was said during this crucial, potentially dispositive conversation. Also, strangely, the original New York Times article in this story described this conversation at some length and reported the fact that the meeting was not recorded due to a technical difficulty, but the final version of that New York Times article omitted that, instead simply repeating the FBI's story as though it were fact. Third, ample facts that call into question whether Muhammad's actions were driven by the FBI's manipulation and pressure rather than his own predisposition to commit a crime. In June, he tried to fly to Alaska to get a fishing job he obtained through a friend, but he was on the government's no-fly list. That caused the FBI to question him at the airport and then bar him from flying to Alaska and thus preventing him from earning income with a job. Having prevented him from working, the money the FBI then pumped him with, including almost $3,000 in cash for him to rent his own apartment, surely helped make him receptive to their suggestions and influence, and every other step taken to perpetrate this plot, from planning its placement to assembling the materials to constructing the bomb, was all done at the FBI's behest and with its indispensable support and direction. It's impossible to conceive of Muhammad having actually achieved anything on his own before being ensnared by the FBI. The only tangible action he had taken was to write 3 articles on fitness and jihad for the online magazine Jihad Recollections. At least based on what is known, he had no history of violence, no apparent criminal record, had never been to a training camp in Afghanistan, Pakistan, or anywhere else, and before meeting the FBI, had never taken a single step towards harming anyone. Does that sound like some menacing sleeper terrorist to you? At the end of the article, he adds the update about the arson, which we heard referenced in our clips. The mosque, sometimes attended by Muhammad, was victimized by arson, so the FBI didn't stop any actual terrorist plots, but they may have helped inspire one. Again, that's the great piece from Glenn Greenwald breaking down the Portland tree bomber with the part we wanted to shine light on, and that would be the crucial missing recordings central to this whole case. I did mention the great article on SalemNews.com. Feds plant inert bomb in Portland before arresting Muslim man. Police could have arrested the man sooner, but they took part in his suspected terrorist act. This article, fortunately, points out many things. That what if he was connected up to some other group? The compartmentalization within intelligence agencies. Sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. What if there was a simultaneous bomb set to go off at the same time? How do we know he couldn't have been working with a second group that law enforcement didn't know about? It goes on to mention British SAS soldiers arrested by Iraqi police dressed up as Arabs, and all the host of other false flag terror activities. We even grab an update from Google News this morning, December 3rd. Muslims react to terror suspect video. This is from KPTV. The exclusive cell phone video of terror suspect Muhammad obtained by KPTV features remarks about Americans that many Muslims said they found inappropriate regardless of the context. An unnamed source tells KPTV the video was taken on an iPhone on May 22nd in an Oregon State University dorm room. It is not known who the rant was directed toward, but the source said it followed some sort of confrontation. Quote, "You know what the whole West thing is? They want to insult our religion, they want to take our lands, they want to rape our women while we're bowing down to them. That's what they want." This could very well relate to the question I always ask, that even if you believe the official stories of 9/11 and the War of Terror, you would go back to the terrorists and they say, we do this because you invade our lands. Even if you believe the official story. That's what it traces back to. Even if you believe the official story, you've got to know that it traces back to the Mujahideen and Brzezinski and Gates and Central Intelligence Agency, and training and funding enemies. That's how the grand chessboard moves.